Imagine yourself as a dedicated fan of a sports team. They have been your sports team for your whole life. You've watched them through the highs and lows. You've seen them work well together and get big wins for you. But you've also seen them get into unproductive disputes over playing styles, money, position, and personality. However, in the last few seasons, they haven't just been playing badly, but the worst they have ever played. We're talking winning one game a season on a technicality kind of bad. And I know if that were me, I'd be mad. But not just regular mad. I'd be yelling at the TV screen, sending letters to the general manager for immediate trades kind of mad. Well, unfortunately, we have a team that is playing this badly, but it's not a sports team. It's the U.S. Congress. But unlike a sports fan, we can actually do something about this team. Today, I'd like to talk about dissolving the U.S. Congress and holding national re-elections to create a brand new legislative branch. Now, you might be asking, doesn't that seem a little extreme? And I'll admit, before researching this topic, I would have thought the same thing. However, after looking deeper into this issue through history and current political scholars' views, I've learned that not only can it be done, but it has been done before. During my time with you, I'll share the problem of an ineffective legislative branch, the cause of an extremely polarized Congress, and the solution of allowing for a constitutional change in order to dissolve Congress and start fresh. Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution established the legislative branch to pass laws that represent the wishes of the constituents. According to Thomas Mann and Norman Ornstein in their book, It's Even Worse Than It Looks, this Congress is on record for being the most ineffective Congress since the end of the Civil War. By ineffective, they mean how many bills the Congress is successful in passing into law. According to govtrack.us, the leading nonpartisan government transparency website, of the 7,424 bills currently in Congress, only 5% will successfully pass within the next year. The typical Congress passes at least 15%. The bills that aren't getting passed affect American lives every day. Bills that have been postponed this session include a farm bill, which funds food stamps and other programs that assist families and children under the poverty line, gun regulation reform, which would allow for moderate background checks and ammunition limitations that would help stop tragedies, federal regulation on banks and lending institutions, which would allow for restrictions and more oversight to prevent relapse into recession. With this apparent ineffectiveness, it is not a surprise why the national approval rating for Congress is a mere 9%, according to the Public Policy Polling Agency. In another recent poll labeled Things You Like More Than Congress, 27% of Americans approved of colonoscopies and 48% approved of lice over the current Congress. In a leading Gallup poll from January 2014, 21% of Americans believe that the U.S. Congress is the biggest problem facing our country over the economy, unemployment, and poor health care. Now, this would tell me that our voice in government isn't listening to us or acting for us. So let's talk about some reasons why this may be. Our government is based on a constitutional model. According to John Haddock of the Brookings Institute, this system is designed to act in accordance to a set of norms or principles in which, in our case, is the Constitution. It also spreads power throughout the government to ensure fairness. This is a powerful and effective system if there can be compromise and consensus. Unfortunately, this is not happening in Congress due to extreme polarization that has occurred in the last decade. Now, of course, disagreement has always been a part of Congress. If it wasn't, we'd all be one big happy political party. But even political scholars such as Keith Poole of UGI magazine have admitted that the polarization of Democrats and Republicans is unprecedented. So what does this mean for our Congress's effectiveness? Constitution architect James Madison envisioned a legislative body divided into factions, a multitude of perspectives, but in 2014, all we have are two divided parties, which have resulted in government shutdowns. According to Brad Plummer of the Washington Post, the government shutdown that occurred in the fall of last year was a direct result of both parties not being able to compromise and pass even basic funding measures to keep government agencies moving from day to day. Because they couldn't come to a decision, over 800,000 non-essential government employees were sent home for over 3 weeks. Mayor McKenna of Times.com identifies some of these non-essentials as 45% of staff at the Food and Drug Administration, including inspectors that oversee food quality and track foodborne morbidity, 68% of staff from the Center for Disease Control, which at the beginning of flu season, these staff were unable to monitor hotspots worldwide or provide support to state-level public health offices to prevent outbreak, and all National Park operations staff. According to the National Park Service, $76 million were lost in tourism revenue and operations costs every day due to all national parks being closed. The government shutdown also impacts our credibility worldwide. According to Kevin Sullivan of the Washington Post, a government shutdown internationally is seen as a catastrophic failure that should be avoided at all costs, especially with an economy such as the U.S. that affects the world market so easily. So now that you've heard the problem and the cause of our current situation, let's look at a solution. An extreme measure is necessary in these extreme times, and I believe we should dissolve the current Congress and hold national re-elections for all members of the legislative branch. This action would allow for a clean start for the legislative branch that has a track record for repeating the same political mistakes and expecting a different result, give the American people an opportunity to vet the issues that put Congress to the breaking point of contention, open up opportunities for new citizens to run for office, and show the world that we are serious about fixing our political and bureaucratic issues no matter what. This may seem like a very unlikely process. However, according to a Fox News poll, 67% of American citizens would vote to dismiss members of Congress regardless of their party affiliations. And unlike the current federal legislative process, citizens have a strong connection and impact for change in state legislatures through direct action and grassroots campaigning. And finally, we must remember that America was founded on the idea that we the people are the government. In conclusion, I've shared with you the problem of an ineffective legislative branch, the cause of extreme polarization in Congress, the solution of allowing for constitutional change in order to dissolve Congress and start fresh. In 1787, Thomas Jefferson exclaimed, "The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants." Fortunately, the Constitution allows us non-lethal options to rise up and change our representation. But nothing will happen unless we, the people, stand up and demand it. If you have been persuaded that we must dissolve Congress today, I ask that you stand with me and demand it.